evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show where all woke and no play makes Scribe a sour boy. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday, Territorial Thursday. Yes, we return once again to the wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for education and enlightenment. I call it weekly masochism or something. Either way, before we get into tonight's topic, who's joining me on, I gotta say, I think maybe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think maybe there are a lot of wrenches in the chat. You see, since I don't do like channel memberships or something, I feel as though I owe some kind of like signifier of long-term loyalty and familiarity with the show and the channel. I don't have anything else to give as a reflection of my affection, except for wrenches, which might seem a bit gratuitous, but I don't know. I guess everybody here is just a really familiar face, so to speak. You're all norms in the grand cheers bar that is the Scribe Light channel. Either way, who is joining us? Me, you, all of you tonight. Now, first and foremost, Keeverdam. Thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for the links to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box for our friends Moonshock, Natalie, Angela Arriaga, James Colley, and Rhonda. If you guys have the ability to donate to any of those, please do so. If you can't donate, that's fine. But if you can, share those out on social media. That would be appreciated. And thank you again, Keeverdam. I know you're not able to follow along tonight because of work, but I hope you see this later and know that you are appreciated. Thank you, Keeverdam. Rotten Corpse, good evening. Noah Asensio, good evening. Mike R., good evening. Cynic, good evening. Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Who else is here? Tony Giff, good evening. And scrolling. Tier Alexander, the Gentleman Lich, good evening. Kiro Soldier, good evening. If I didn't already say good evening. Maybe my memory's already leaving me. Brittany Holland, good evening. Urcule Di Stefano, good evening. Ryan R., good evening. Chicago Mike, good evening. Simon Willikins, good evening. Queen of the Discords, Miranda Stone, good evening. Corey Suzuki, good evening. Vader35, good evening. Matt Barnes, good evening. Robert Pincus, good evening. Who else is here? Anybody else? Did I miss anybody else? I probably did. Oh, Lexi Mads, now the show can begin. Hi, Lexi, how you doing? Assassin of the Gray, good evening. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, good evening. Uncle Mikey, good evening. And Non-Vitae Rex, good evening. And lastly, as I see, Daniel Fullman, good evening. All right, well, for anybody that I missed, I hope I didn't miss anybody lurking, and anybody in the future, good evening. So tonight is the night where we watch TEDx. Tonight we have Decolonizing the Workplace. Yes, if you did not know, the workplace is a colony, and we have to decolonize it of stuff. I don't know. I suspect, given my vast experience in the genre, I suspect that decolonizing has something to do with race. I'm guessing. Or policies that could be interpreted to be oppressive in some way, shape, or form. I suppose we'll find out. Also, just on the off chance, I don't know if it can be heard or can't be heard, but they are currently power washing every outside surface of my apartment building and the parking lot outside. And so I can hear that compressor running and so on. I don't know if you can. If you can, I apologize. I have no control over it, but hopefully you can't. But just as a note, I'm aware that there may be some extraneous noise. I can't do anything about it. Keeverdam, thank you so much. I'm here. Plus my uncle's heart stopped this morning and he's an IC. Oh no. Oh, Keeverdam. Oh no. I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, prayers that he recovers. I all my best to your uncle. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he heals up soon. Something I haven't, talked about recently or mentioned. My father's currently in the hospital. He's on the mend. I won't get into the details. It's just one of those things that happens when you get elderly, as my father is at this point. I think it's safe to say my father is elderly, but Yeah, he's on a good mend. So I've been a little bit distracted the last couple of weeks with family stuff in that regard. So I can empathize, but I hope your uncle is on the road to recovery. So all the best to Keeverdam and her uncle. Appreciate it, Keeverdam. All right. Well, all that being said, so decolonizing the workplace. Tonight's bingo card is bingo card B. B as in bingo. B was the winner of the poll up on Twitter to decide tonight's bingo card. If you'd like to follow along for the bingo poll every week, at least those weeks where I remember to post it in time, follow me there on X, formerly Twitter, scribe_light. And if you're not already a member of the Discord server, you too can become a member of the Discord server if you wait around until the end of the show, or you skip ahead if you're watching this in the future, because I will give out the Discord link and the secret word that will get you into the Discord server. Let's see, another couple hellos here before I begin. Bold sign and good evening. And I think bold sign might be it. I could be mistaken. Maybe so. All right. Well then, again, anybody lurking, anybody in the future, good evening. But let's find out about decolonizing the workplace. This one comes in at just under 15 minutes. So it's a regulation TEDx talk. Start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and we will proceed. Thank you, sponsors.
Have you ever had a moment?
I've had several. I don't know about you. Have you all had moments? Everybody hear that? All right. Let me know in the chat. Let's see. Advocatus, I hear, or I would if I hadn't decolonized my speakers. Okay, so bad comedic timing. All right, so thank you, Advocatus. Kiro Soldiers is 5x5. All right, well, if those two guys can hear it. Have you ever had a moment?
That was seemingly simple.
Uh-huh.
But then 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, maybe even 5 to 10 years.
Whoa.
You realize that the layers of that moment were in fact not that simple.
Are we talking about microaggressions? I still haven't made a stinger for that. Dang it. I keep forgetting. That's the one thing I forget. I'm not psychic enough to see ahead of time that I need to do that. If I have another psychic moment here, I'm going to be happy, I guess. Thank you, Derek LaRue. Derek LaRue, good evening to you. And thank you, as always, for your continued support and generosity. It's very generous of you. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a good evening and hope you enjoy the show. Also, Dr. Functional, good evening. Hope you're doing good. Oops, I clicked on things twice there because chat keeps moving. How dare you keep moving chat? All right, so yeah, a moment, a week, a month, 5 years, 10 years down the line, it wasn't so simple.
This is how I feel every time I think back to the question, when did you realize that the workplace was colonized?
Well, actually, I think when I learned about bacteria in 3rd grade.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Tony Howard Lowe.
Hi, Tony. I'm Scribe.
Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Executive.
Oh man, I wasn't sure if it'd be that blatant. What did I say at the top of the thing? Does this have something to do with some DEI? Well, I knows my stuff. Okay, you're a global. Oh boy, let's back up. Make sure we get her title in its fullness again. Pardon me.
I'm Tony Howard Lowe, Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Executive.
For
a professional disruptor.
Oh. Yeah, right up there with Lovey Ajayi. Yeah, a professional disruptor. I'm here to make you uncomfortable. I have to make you comfortable with becoming uncomfortable.
And a workforce equity strategist.
Uh-huh.
In 2020,
George Floyd. I'll just say it, George Floyd.
LinkedIn came to me and asked me to do a course on microaggressions in the workplace.
God dang it. I should have had the stinger ready. Oh, man. Oh, God, golly, gee whiz, Miss Molly. I should have had the stinger ready. All right, psychic moment. Psychic moment. Okay, so in the absence of an official psychic stinger, which I actually found music for and everything, but I just didn't put it together. So there we go. DEI microaggressions. All right, let me back up a little bit, make sure we get the fullness of this story.
In 2020, LinkedIn came to me and asked me to do a course on microaggressions in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And to my surprise, that course has garnered over 500,000 learners across the globe.
But I'm not bragging.
And what that thank you. And what
I really should have the please clap bit on here from Jeb Bush. That's great. She was expecting applause, didn't get any.
And what that thank you. And what that exposed for me was that not only was the workplace truly flawed, but that it was on a deeper, broader, systemic level.
Of course, yes. Okay, well, systemic. All right, let's go to the bingo card. We got systemic on the board. I'm going to go over the bingo card once to remind ourselves what we're listening for, and then we will continue. Marginalized or marginalization. Not yet. Self-vilification or wretchedness, I'd be surprised. Contradicts own point or argument, don't know what it is yet. Feminism, no. Microaggressions or unconscious bias, yes, that has been mentioned, circling that on the board. Privilege, not yet. Benevolent condescension, might get there. Weightless example, not yet. Plays victim, possibly. Collectivizes own demographic, we'll see. Economic disparity, not yet. Argumentative non sequitur, no. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, not as of yet. A list, we'll see if she has steps for improvement or something. Mind reading or assumes motives. She might have already just done that with the whole, I didn't see how damaged the workplace was, but we'll see. Patriarchy, not yet. Anecdote that probably never happened. We need one first. I don't know if the 500,000 learners just might be the view count or something. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion. Yes, she said all three in its appropriate context. White supremacy, not yet. Childhood or family anecdote, not yet. Systemic or institutional, yes. Leaves out vital context, not so much yet. Sales pitch for product or service. She might be doing a sales pitch for her own services, though. I think that's appropriate, but I'm going to wait for some more examples. So anybody in the chat that sees that, I see you. I see it. We'll wait. And lastly, word salad, not quite yet. And also free space because it's free. All right. So remember, bingo card B. B is in bingo. Links are in the description. So far on the board, we have microaggressions or unconscious bias, free space, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and lastly, systemic or institutional. Let's continue.
But let's go back to the moment I was talking about.
All right.
When I was 20 years old, I got the opportunity to do an internship. And I was so excited about this opportunity because of the 3 founding partners, I was going to get the opportunity to be the right hand to the highest ranking person of color.
So you're a racist. Okay.
And in my first sit down, he came to me and said, take out a pen and paper and take notes because I'm about to school you to the workplace game.
Oh, she's going to get schooled.
And there aren't a lot of things I remember about that conversation, though a lot of things were said. But there are 2 things that I distinctly remember. And the first
would make it a list. It might be a short list of 2, but it's a list all the same, circling list. All right. What are the 2 things you remember?
Was this very long story about why he had changed his legal name from Tyrone to Ty.
Because he was paranoid that people would assume something about him, I'm guessing.
To essentially assimilate into corporate America.
Sounds like a personal choice. I mean, you have to file paperwork for that and sign a bunch of things. So he felt he needed to do that, I'm assuming.
Because he believed doing so that it had advantage how he was seen and respected.
Well, that is a him problem.
And the second was him saying to me, Tony, if you want to make it to the top, then you're going to have to work twice as hard as your white counterparts.
Okay, well, circling, let's see. Well, actually, I was about to circle white supremacy, but it's not quite that blatant yet, so I'm gonna wait on that. Maybe plays victim. We'll see.
Twice as hard. Simple statement, but for my 20-year-old mindset and 1 year's worth of work experience, I did not realize that that was going to become the through line and theme of my workplace journey over the next 20 years.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. But Advocatus brings up a very good point. I was kind of thinking of it myself, sort of abstractly. Yeah, he does know he could just use Ty without legally changing it, right? Yeah, Ty is just, it's just, you know, the regular shortened nickname or version of Tyrone anyway. It's like Mike for Michael or Bob for Robert or whatever it is. Like, why would you need to legally change your name to Ty? I don't quite get that one either. But again, that was a him choice. And here's the thing. He'll never know if his theory is correct because he made it to exactly where he was. And was it all based on him shortening his name? That's a little odd.
And as I grew, I too would feel the weight of conforming.
And who made you do this? I have to ask, how much of this is a pain self-chosen?
The pressures to fit into predefined molds inside of the workplace.
Give me an example.
And maybe you also have felt this need.
To conform to the strictures of the workplace? Yes, I do not behave in the same way at the workplace as I would, say, hanging out with my friends or my family, because it's the workplace. That's the difference between professional time and personal time. But I don't know exactly what you mean, so an example would be appreciated.
To conform.
Yeah.
Felt the need to straighten or change your hair to conform.
Or wear something nice to work that you wouldn't necessarily wear lounging around the house.
You know, felt the need to go to certain schools to obtain a certain pedigree.
Yeah. And did you, of your own volition, decide to do these things? Thank you, Alan Thyler. So much for the laughy, happy Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Oh, there's a ranting monkey, Dogcat Fox. I thought I was clicking on the drunken uncle Dogcat Fox, but I wasn't. So I did that. So yay, ranting monkey. I have no regrets. So apparently, Tyr Alexander has absorbed the powers of the Invisible Woman. Scribe can't see me. Okay. You're John Cena. Like what are we talking about? Anecdote that probably never happened. I highly doubt that change your name from Tyrone to Ty has any significant racial change. Okay, but the point of the anecdote was that him changing his name, catapulted him to his position in the company or in success. Now, I don't have any reason to doubt that the guy changed his name legally. Maybe he did. Whether or not it had an effect, I can't say. But so what is the anecdote that we're challenging here? The fact the guy changed the name? I mean, it sounds silly, but I can't say it's fake or it sounds too good to be true. That his intention was to succeed more because of the name change? I don't know. It's kind of a shaky ground to call that an anecdote that never happened. Because the anecdote is she had this conversation with this guy. He gave her 2 rules for success or explained his name or something. So I might need some clarification on that. But it's not that I don't see you, Tyr. It's that I'm splitting my attention and sometimes I don't see things right away. So wait and see. And if you have arguments for squares to be circled, we will get to them at the end of the show regardless.
Maybe drop your native accent or regional colloquialisms.
Colloquialisms. Oh, sorry. That was my English major talking.
To not be othered.
Uh-huh.
Check your tone and emotions and how you challenge the status quo. Or maybe you just realize that your true and authentic self was not the standard for professionalism.
So you had a hard time controlling your attitude and your temper in the workplace, I take it? I mean, that's what I'm getting here. Because yes, you're correct. There is a difference between professionalism and casualness. All right. There's a time and a place for emotional outbursts, and most of them do not include the workplace. So I assume, and again, I'm stretching here a little bit. I assume then that you opted for a more self-employed model where you don't have to answer to someone else. You can set your own hours and so on. That's how you became a consultant of a kind, I guess. Or did you say she was like an executive? She didn't mention a company she works for. She did a program for LinkedIn. Is she a LinkedIn employee? If she said that, I didn't get that part. Uh-huh.
And after all of that conforming, just like Ty had warned, you realize that you had to work twice as hard for lesser outcomes.
It sounds like Ty made things more complicated for himself than were necessary. So, yes, if you impose upon yourself or assume that there exist complexities to things that you have to account for because you're so paranoid about being accepted, about being seen as a good worker and so on and so forth, and set standards for yourself above and beyond other people, then yes, you have created extra layers of work and worry for yourself that were not required of you. I'm still waiting to hear an example where someone from on high came down and said, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or your job is going to be affected, or something to that scale, you know, and not something like, hey, you need to stop yelling at the customers or you're going to get fired. Okay. Like, give me an example. I'm sure there are some, but you also have to then, and here's the other part, you have to qualify anything you say as being somehow unique and exclusive to someone in the workplace on the basis of their skin color, because you've tied all of this to race. So if I'm expected as an employee of company X that I show up every day to work on time and with my shirt tucked in and wearing business casual and so on, and that's the same standard for everyone else, regardless of what they look like, there's not a lot of sympathy there. So some examples would be, as I said before, appreciated.
Twice as hard for lesser outcomes.
Yeah, you said that once
These
already.
were the rules of engagement that I'd heard before entering the workplace. And these impossible standards.
They're not impossible standards unless you decide to make them so. Dressing nice, minding your manners, holding your temper. Okay. How then are you a DEI global executive again?
Would cripple my workplace career opportunities and ability to thrive for years to come.
How?
And these are not isolated experiences.
No, I know. DEI is a global phenomenon.
My experiences, Ty's experiences, maybe even your experiences, these are the effects of a colonized workplace.
Colonized being too many white people, correct?
So today, if you will have me.
I don't have a choice. You have me as a captive audience.
We're going to talk about decolonizing the workplace.
That's what I'm here for.
I know, y'all.
Boy, this audience, I'll tell you, this is a tough crowd.
But before we dive into that.
What do you mean we? This is your presentation.
Because I'm on a mission to be a tool for its undoing. But before we do that, let's set the stage on colonization itself.
Yes,
briefly.
please. Yes. Okay.
Colonization is
Yeah.
one group's power over another dependent area or people.
Aha. Okay. Group, you say. Yeah. We're not talking demographic, are we? All right. Circling plays victim. I think that's probably because she's collectivized his own demographic. Certainly done that already. I'm inclined to say benevolent condescension, but I'll wait a bit. Yeah. All right. Don't want to take too long. Let's keep going.
Colonization is not just about economic and political power, like some may think, but it's also about social and cultural power.
Aha, if you say so. And who are we speaking of specifically in this instance?
Socially, it has affected and influenced how we interact with one another.
Uh-huh.
It has affected our roles in society and the distribution of resources.
Oh, the distribution of resources. Okay, starting to sound a little socialistic.
And culturally, it has made a influence on how our language and our traditions and our societal norms.
Again, with the structure of a persuasive essay in mind, examples, please.
And I know what some of you may be thinking.
Oh, okay. Mind reading assumes motives. That was easy. Okay, circling that one. Let me back up a smidge here.
And our societal norms. And I know what some of you may be thinking. You're probably thinking, well, Tony, if colonization happened so many years ago.
You already told us that that's not the context in which you're using the word. So I guess you just assume. I mean, I suppose you assume the audience is just a bunch of Nimrods or something. Anyway, Chicago Mike, thank you so much. Decolonization, the workplace, buzz phrase. You know, for the sake of this, decolonize the workplace. Yeah, I can't say I've heard it. I mean, decolonizing things has been a lot. See, I had a similar argument with. I suddenly blanked. I forget who it was. There was someone last week, and I'm going to kick myself when I realize who it was because it's somebody that I should know the name of off the top of my head. Anyway, somebody last week gave an argument about the previous talk where the lady's phrase of autogender, autism plus gender, was a new buzzword or buzz phrase, except that it was not established by the speaker. It was not something that the speaker invented or is trying to pitch as a new white fragility or something. They were adopting an existing term and just, rebroadcasting it. So does decolonize the workplace, is that a new buzzword or buzz phrase, or is our speaker just forwarding something that's been a concept that's been floating out there for a while? Because I've heard, and I think I've done several TEDx's before or other panel discussions on decolonizing this or decolonizing that. So is it effectively a new buzzword or buzz phrase, or is she just leveraging an existing one? I came down on the side of leveraging an existing phrase does not a new buzzword or buzz phrase make last time. So I'll take arguments otherwise at the end of the presentation, but I'm inclined right now to say no. So I appreciate the donation, Mike. I might have to be a stickler on this one, but again, I'm happy for argumentation otherwise.
Why are we talking about it today?
You already told us you're not using colonization in a historical context. You're using it in a social, political, economic, whatever context. So this section of the talk is unnecessary.
Well, Professor Nelson Maldonado Torres eloquently explains this, and he says that coloniality survives colonialism.
Argumentative non sequitur. If ever there was a clear one. You already established the ground rules for use of the term, and then you go back and reframe the term in a way that it was not meant to be used in this talk in the first place, circling that one. But anyway, coloniality,
that it is maintained alive in books and the criteria for academic performance and the self-images of people and self-aspiration in every aspect of our modern life.
You're going to, okay, again, psychic prediction. You're going to do everything you can not to say white people, right? Everything you can to dance around what you're talking about, what demographic you're referring to in this. You don't want to completely alienate your audience or portions thereof, right? Oh, sorry, I'm saying that word too often. I need to check myself before I wreck myself. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cenk.
And he also goes on to say that as modern subjects, we breathe in coloniality all the time, every day,
yeah,
and in every way.
Every day, in every way, you're breathing in coloniality. What's this? I made Mike cry. Mike, are you crying Chicago tears? What did I do? Hold on. Let me go up here a little bit. Where did he go? Did I miss a mic? Step up to the mic, Mikeaton. Where did Mike go? Did Mike? I didn't mean to make you sad. Keeverdam, coloniality. Is that a new buzzword? Oh, we're going for the buzzword. Okay, you're coloniality. Hold on. Coloniality. Showing results. Nope, that is an existing word. That is a dictionary word. That is not something that she or her mentor made up of their own. I'm sorry. I appreciate the attempts. I know, but I feel bad having to say no, but sometimes I got to say no.
So by nature of this, it has infiltrated our society. And so the very nature of this says that if colonialism has explicitly benefited one group over another, then it implicitly maintains that benefits by its remnants.
Yeah. Okay. And who are you talking about exactly? You know, in the context of your work experience and so on, like, how do we decolonize the workplace? What do we have to do in order to take, I mean, whose power do we need to take in order to decolonize the workplace? And examples would be appreciated. Like modern examples, not historical examples. You're talking about the workplace, so give me a workplace example of what you're talking about.
So,
a needle pulling thread? My friends. Oh, okay.
We have to write a new narrative.
You need to describe the old narrative in more detail before I know what we are revising.
And the time is now.
Yeah. For.
And in that new narrative, I want to give you an example of what it looks like in terms of vision.
Oh, an example? Well, saints preserve us, please.
I know many of you have seen the film The Black Panther.
Yes. You want, please don't tell me that your vision of the future is Wakanda, a country that is isolationist, xenophobic, and decides its political elections through mortal combat. Because if you're about to tell me that Wakanda is a model for the future, boy howdy, do I have a surprise for you.
And in 2018, the Black Panther, or the late Chadwick Boseman, mesmerized as the Black Panther.
Yeah. Chadwick Boseman, very good actor. Untimely passing. And a vision for the future of a decolonized workplace is...
starting a cinematic revolution that grossed over $1.3 billion.
The only reason Black Panther made that money is because it was part of the MCU, which at that point was already a global phenomenon, built on the backs of several other characters that ushered in the way for Black Panther to be that successful. And the sequel sucked because they didn't recast Black Panther. So there was a bit more to it. And by the way, that last fight between Black Panther and Killmonger was absolute 2007 CGI nonsense. But, you know, it was an okay Marvel movie. It wasn't the worst Marvel movie, wasn't the best. It was mid-range overall. The top two, as far as I'm concerned, are still Iron Man and Winter Soldier. Those are still the top two. And Winter Soldier might be competing with the first Captain America movie on a given day to me. And then, of course, you have, Infinity War and Endgame, which I kind of place those separate because they're like the big culmination movies. Like, I think the Avengers films, the collective films of all the team members, I think those belong in their own separate category of consideration, whereas the individual, like, hero films are in another column. So maybe that's just me.
Wakanda, a realm of Black futurism, started a cultural uproar.
Black futurism and anachronistic practices. Are you going to acknowledge that part of it too?
Where people dressed loudly and boldly in cultural attire and showed up to the movie theater saying, Wakanda forever.
Yeah, it was kind of silly, wasn't it? Especially when you had a whole bunch of politicians doing it too. Didn't Hillary Clinton do that at one point?
Black Panther was about the audacity of possibility.
No, it was about an isolationist, xenophobic nation that hoarded its technology and all the benefits that it could provide the world and had to be convinced to come out into the open after a political coup took place, and they broke their own rules in the process. Whoever wins the fight becomes the king, and then the guy who lost comes back and stages his own coup against the... Were you watching the film? I was kind of watching the movie.
That people would come together based on unseen potential, and that they would connect based on what it looks like to have a world that is untainted. Many of you may not remember, but in the film, Wakanda was touted as the only African nation that had never been colonized.
That's because it was unseen, had a force field up, and kept everybody else out. Yeah, it had a magic metal and technology to rival anything that you could imagine, and they did not share it with the rest of the world. They had medical technology that could create prosthetic limbs of such perfection that they could become superpowers in and of themselves, i.e., see the recovered Bucky Barnes. But they kept that to no, nobody else can have it. It's ours. We don't trust anybody else. We're not going to share it with anybody else. Also, our political decisions are decided in Mortal Kombat. And everybody has to accede to whoever wins the Mortal Kombat, whether that person is a good person or a bad person. They have to blind obedience to the great leader. It's a militaristic dictatorship.
And because there was no one to exploit through policy or laws or extract its resources, it became the most technologically advanced country on Earth.
Yeah, it's also completely fictional.
So you're probably asking then, why should I be invested in a decolonized workplace?
I still haven't heard what colonization in the workplace looks like specifically and how you should do it. You're over halfway through this talk, and you have not given us any active examples of workplace colonization. You have misused your own term in a context that is irrelevant to the talk. And now you've talked about a movie about a fictional nation that could not or would not function the way that it is depicted for longer than about a generation or two before it fell into chaos and anarchy. So, yeah, I mean, you're right in a way. Why should I care about workplace decolonization? We haven't even gotten to. Hey, caramba. Thank you, Keldrick. Hillary was also the same person who used the Pokemon Go to the Polls slogan. That's right. Oh, man. Oh, man. This year is going to have so many political flashbacks. We're going to have so many callbacks. Because, yeah, I mean, really, I'm sure somebody's already answered this somewhere, and I'm sure I've seen it somewhere. When was the last time a prior president ran for president in a second election? Like, in a major party? How long ago was that? Where, like, the seriously considered major party candidate was already previously a president? And all that comes with Donald Trump will come back again, along with Hillary and all the rest.
And it is because it also, too, is about what is possible.
What? Okay, you know what? Wakanda, weightless example. Absolute weightless example. That was absolute filler. That was, I have nothing else to say, so I'm going to talk about Black Panther. Now, if she circles back somehow and brings in some lessons from Wakanda into whatever continues from here, I'll take it back. But unless or until that happens, the square is circled.
When I think about what we need to do to transform the workplace, I think about all the leaders who make an impact in this world.
No. You need to give us an example of workplace colonization and then an offered solution as to how to decolonize that aspect of the workplace. It's not, the structure of this talk should not be that complicated. What have you observed in your experience in the workplace that qualifies as colonization? And what ideas do you have or have implemented yourself in the past to counter those problems? We're almost 10 minutes in to a 14-minute and 31-second presentation, and we've heard nothing.
So let me first sort of talk to the leaders. You set the tone in the workplace for people to be involved, developed, encouraged, and feel trusted.
Okay.
And the benefits of that are immense. According to the Center for Talent Innovation, when people feel they belong at work, they are more motivated, more engaged, and 3.5 times more likely to reach their fullest potential.
Okay, so this is an argument to add belonging to DEI. That's nothing new. DEIB, or rather I should say DEBI, Debbie. I'm still arguing for Debbie. Just rename DEI to Debbie. It'll be a lot easier. Let's see. Oh, people in the chat have answered the thing. Let's see. Tier Alexander says Theodore Roosevelt. Let's see. Advocate says Cleveland was the only 2-term president with a gap pre-1900. Okay. So we got Grover Cleveland and technically Roosevelt. Yeah, no, I meant a previously elected president running for another term in not a subsequent term, right? So yeah, there was a gap in between, something like that. So yes, Roosevelt did run for a third term or whatever before he died, and then they wrapped up that whole loophole in succession. But anyway, all right, still waiting.
So
a needle pulling thread.
These and all other reasons I've said a lot.
Yeah, you're right. You have said a lot. Nothing so far has been substantive, Irate Bear.
But I want to make sure that before you leave here, because I have a bias for action, that I get so specific in what you can do today that it propels you to action.
Okay, all right. I've been waiting. The waiting is the hardest part. You've got about 4 minutes left. Give me some specifics.
So I'm going to give you 3 ways and 3 things that you can do today to help decolonize the workplace.
All right. And if I didn't already circle a list, I'd already circled a list, but there you go. Okay. All right. I'm also going to circle word salad because it's taken 10, almost 11 minutes to get where she should have started effectively, or at least the halfway point. So circling that one. Let's see. Leaves out vital context. Okay. I'm going to give her another chance. This is it. This is for the prize here. Is she going to give us some examples?
The first is get curious and ask, who said that?
Who said that?
That's my favorite line to say in the workplace when a point of view comes up, some sentiment, and we're confused about whether or not that is influenced by power structures or if the belief is supported with facts.
You want facts? Okay, I would like some facts. What does Wakanda have to do with decolonizing the workplace? I'm still waiting, but okay, who said that? Can you give us, dare I ask for an active example?
Justifiable facts, like real facts,
like
not
what?
like
What do you
y'all
mean?
know those other kind of facts.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
So ask the question, who said that?
Okay, who said that? Who said that Wakanda is a vision for a decolonized workplace? Who said that?
The second step.
No, you need to give an example. I'm not going to get it, am I? I'm just never going to get it, 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 never going to get it. No. No, you're never going to get it.
Is to ask, how am I participating?
In what?
How am I participating in a system that I did not create?
I wake up every morning in the United States of America. I operate under the laws of the United States of America. I was not present at the signing of the Declaration of Independence or the ratification of the Constitution, yet somehow I still participate in a system that I did not create every day by adhering to the laws and the customs and the culture that I grew up in. So that's how I participate in a system I did not create. I vote, I pay my taxes, I follow the rules, I just about leave everybody alone, mind my own business. There you go. You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. You're on a TEDx stage, a system that was created not by you. How are you participating in it? You're just doing so. And how should I assess your participation? I don't know, maybe by the quality of your words, ideas, and actions, I suppose.
Either through my silence, my complacency, or my advantage.
Okay, so how are you participating in a system that you did not create? Like right now, the United States, TEDx, whatever. What are the answers to your own questions? Why can't you give us examples from your own experience in this?
Ask the question, how am I participating, so that you can do the first step in self-accountability and how you fit into our larger progress as people.
What? Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Right?
Okay. You know what? I'm going I'm going to circle white supremacy because at least implicitly throughout Wakanda and colonization and so on and so forth and this, that, and the other, it's pretty much, it's there. And
Bingo.
What? Bingo! Yeah!
Of course, of course.
we have our first bingo down the O column. Remember, this is bingo card B. Our first bingo. 2 minutes and 27 seconds left.
And lastly, unlearn to relearn.
Oh, geez.
Unravel the threads of unconscious and conscious bias.
Uh-huh.
Become an active resistor. And by doing so, you become thoughtful in your defiance of outdated conventions.
Like, I know I'm asking in futility, but all the same, like what?
And I know that there's someone here who is saying, but Tony, I don't even work in a traditional workplace. And I'm here to tell you that the workplace is merely a metaphor for the work.
The work. Oh boy. Okay, circling leaves out vital context. Let's see. And I'll wait a minute.
That we all have to do inside any system that has seen the effects of colonialism and dares to tell us we are not enough.
What are you talking about?
Transformation happens.
What?
Inside of who we put in our jury box.
What?
On our school boards.
Wait. Who we put in our jury box? Are we lawyers here? Are we going through voir dire? Like, what do you put in our jury? Ay, caramba.
Our HOA, public office, and maybe even who we deem as worthy of being the president of Harvard University.
This is in defense of Claudine Gay? Are you kidding me? The rampant plagiarist and racist? Yeah, no, okay. All right. Yeah, you're a booster for Claudine. All right, I guess if that's your thing, good gravy.
And in case anybody is wondering, nothing I've said today here is plagiarized.
Why do you need to make that assurance? Why do you feel the need to make that assurance? What the... Man, this sucker just made a left turn into Crazy Town. What? Just so you know, I didn't plagiarize anything. Oh, okay. Well, there's plenty of proof that Claudine Gay did. So if you're angry over who can be Harvard president and yet you're making a joke about plagiarism, I'm getting some mixed signals here. I think I'm going to contradict own pointer argument. If not just for this, then for not giving, the whole thing has been a contradiction to the pointer argument. Decolonize the workplace. And she hasn't yet given us a single example of what that means or how to do it with any specificity. Yeah, are you guys laughing for the same reasons I'm laughing?
Change starts today. It is about evoking a new dream and a new standard.
Nonsense, babble, pablum, sophistry. I could go down the thesaurus. Filler. Gobbledygook.
We are all a part of the solution.
Oh.
I believe that our most important endeavors come, and our goals every day come from cultural humility and an unlearning of our unchecked biases. And we can all do that when we hold each other accountable.
Amen, sister.
Decolonizing the workplace is about paving a way for a workplace where everyone can thrive.
That is not what you've been describing. You've been describing breaking down systems and removing power. You haven't said from whom or how to do it, just that you should.
Where Ty is free to be Tyrone and Wakanda doesn't have to be a fictional community.
Ty was always free to be Tyrone, and Wakanda will always be a fictional community because vibranium does not exist.
Imagine if the only twice as hard we needed was for workplace equity.
What the?
Thank you.
What? Okay, you know, I was hoping for something, but we got nothing. This was a big bag of nothing. And it wasn't even mostly like, you know, sort of snake oil nothing. It was just nothing. It was filler. It was time killer. It was not thriller. Anyway, boy, oh boy. All right, let's move on to the bingo card real quick. That's what that looks like right now. Oops, over here on the chat, pardon me. Hero Soldier, thank you so much. Banging head on the wall, still not making sense. No. Nope. This is one of those TEDx talks, but this is also kind of a classic TEDx talk. All fancy sounding and looks very official, but turns into absolute nothing. Nothing. But that, you know, that in and of itself might say something. How do you decolonize the workplace? Well, have no definitions for anything, have no specificity, have no examples. I mean, you would think, given the way that she preambled the whole thing, that she would have all these stories of her having to overcome this obstacle or that restriction or that injustice or this oppression or something in the course of her career. She intimated that she had this, you know, practical panoply of issues and obstacles to overcome to make it to where she is. She had to work twice as hard. And yet, aside from some abstract maybes and hypothetical examples, nada. Thank you, Mr. Jiggletrunk. This is modern day Scientology, empty fanaticism. It really did sound like a quasi-religious sermon where, you know, the right buzzwords, buzz phrases, intimations to things without any specificity, just, you know, trust your feelings, Luke, kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go over the bingo card one more time. If you have any arguments for squares to be circled, and I know there's a couple of contentious arguments there, but hold on. I'll get to you in a moment. First off, marginalization. If not said explicitly, I think that is more than enough implied by the subject matter and some of these are going to be tough because she didn't get specific enough. And that was not meant to be poetic, but I'll take it. Self-vilification or wretchedness. No, she was always the underdog. She was always struggling. I didn't hear anything where she chalked herself out to be the problem anyway. Feminism. She never talked about any kind of sexual politics or gender disparity or anything, so can't say so. Privilege. It was definitely a theme implied through power and colonization, those who have power, those that don't, the distribution thereof, and so on. Let's see. Benevolent condescension. Yes. In the fact that she didn't feel the need to actually say anything specific, that she just get on along with buzzwords and buzz phrases and catchphrases and feelings over reels and all this other stuff.
Bingo.
What?
Of course!
We have our bingo down the diagonal. Next, economic disparity. She did mention, but was it really a key part of the talk? I remember at some point she mentioned something about different economic standards or something, but she put that in a list along with things about colonialism, but I don't know that it was really a part of the argument. I'm open to arguments in favor, but I'll wait. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Okay. I cannot. Here's the other side of that coin too. Do I want to credit our speaker with creating the phrase decolonizing the workplace? Is that her? Wait, is that 2 bingos? Wait, oh, you're right. Oh, you're right. I'm blind. I'm blind, but I see now.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
My apologies. I got so excited by getting a diagonal, I missed out on the horizontal. So there you go. 3 bingos so far. Apologies for that. Okay, so yeah, attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I don't think so. I didn't hear anything that, or where she said something I like to call. If she'd given her list of tips its own like acronym or something, I could go with it. But decolonize the workplace, putting decolonize anything doesn't feel new to me. It just feels like, yeah. So I'm open to arguments otherwise, but that's going to be an uphill battle, especially now that I've put that much on it. Patriarchy. No, again, she just like feminism. She didn't really talk about the gender struggles or anything. Anecdote that probably never happened. Okay. Do I believe that Tyrone changed his name legally in order to improve his work prospects? It's so specific and it's so odd. And it doesn't really prove anything one way or the other. I don't know if it sounds like too good to be true. I can't say that there's enough information there to say that it didn't happen. Anecdote that probably never happened. I can't think of anything, or I don't have an argument for anything. Childhood or family. And surprisingly enough, she never mentioned her childhood. She talked about being in her 20s and getting her first real job and so on, but didn't talk about her mother or father, where she came from, her sisters or anything. So I don't think we can circle that one. Lastly, sales pitch for product or service. Is she LinkedIn's global DEI officer? Hold on, let me just check. I just want to see if let's see, who is head of DEI? LinkedIn's going. The global VP, but I thought was she the vice president? Oh my gosh. All right, hold on. I got to go back. I got to go back to the video and get her name and find out. Because I wasn't sure if she was a consultant or if she was, okay, Tony Lowe, DEI. Sorry, I just want to, because if she was like advertising for, okay, Tony Lowe is also. Wait a second. She's global chief DE&I officer at Huge Incorporated. HUGE Incorporated. We are a design and innovation company. We create products and experiences that grow ambitious. Hold on a second. Let me just pull this up. Let me just pull this up for a minute. I'll keep the bingo card off to the side. I'm just showing this a little bit here. We challenge the status quo to discover previously untapped areas of revenue, unlocking advantage with. We harness AI and leading edge technology to create highly personalized connections. What is this? Bringing truth to a world of misinformation through an innovative tool with transparency at its core. What do you do? What we do? Okay. We create products and experiences that grow ambitious brands. We do this in 3 ways. Design experiences, uncover new. It's a consulting firm. I'm assuming. Our proprietary data platform driven by AI and ML to analyze billions of consumer. Okay. All right. I don't know. But I you know what? All things being equal, such as they are, I'm going to say that was a kind of sales pitch for her products, services, and or expertise, because she was like, I was asked by LinkedIn to do this, that, and the other. And she mentioned her job title. And yeah, so sales pitch for product or service, circling that one. Sorry for the long drawn out explanation, but I just wanted to make sure, was she talking about she worked for LinkedIn, or she was an employee or something? Okay. All right. Well, there's the card as I have it. Let me go over to the comments, and if you guys have arguments for squares to be circled, put them in the chat now. I will scroll up a bit to see if I missed anything. Advocast Diaboli, the talk she had at 20 as an intern should count as a childhood anecdote. I think it's safe to say she was still a child at 20. That's splitting some hairs there. Splitting some hairs. SWD40, that Chink clip where he says, right, good meme. Yeah, no, I used to use it frequently in my scripted videos. Actually, I remember the first time I used it with any frequency. It was a not TED talk, but kind of a TED talk on a video that dealt with the convention called Lesbians Who Tech. And the speaker in the Lesbians Who Tech presentation, I swear, every third sentence, she asked the audience rhetorically, right? And after a while, when I was watching that originally and scripting it, I just couldn't help myself. And I just found that clip and I just kept plugging it in there every time she said it. It became a thing. Anyway. Assassin of the Gray. Name change is too good to be true for arguments X to doubt. Okay. And that's a simple argument. Let's see. Daniel Fullman had to sit through a pointless mandatory speech for work. The only way to keep me awake was to play TEDx bingo in my head in your voice. We got several. Oh, man. Well, first off, my sympathies for having to sit through a pointless speech at work. Also, my sympathies that I have become a meme in your head. But I suppose that's one way to kind of pay attention and deconstruct what you're being told. I guess that's good, I suppose. Mike R., the name change, I would argue, is an anecdote that never happened, like a bunch of work when you could just ask people to call you by your nickname. Okay. I'm still thinking about it, not saying no yet. Mystical Trunk, they consult, quote, you need to hire us for this problem we made up. Yeah, that website, that website was pretty much like this talk. It was a whole lot of words and concepts and ideas, but without any specificity. Nothing. Let's see, Advocatus. The fact that you wouldn't need to legally change your name makes me disbelieve it. Okay. You know what? Yeah, it was, and it stood out. It stood out to all of us. Like, why would you need to legally change your name? I mean, if he'd gone from like Tyrone to like David or something, it might sound it might sound bizarre, but at least it would sound a bit more like he really was trying to completely alter his perceived whatever. But from Tyrone to Ty, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, all right, I will agree with that one. It's not that I double circled things. I hadn't refreshed the card to that point. But either way, with that, if you can believe it.
I had a dog, and his name was...
What?
I had a dog, and his name was...
Bingo!
Of course!
All right, there's another bingo. Boy, oh boy. All right, so we only have a few squares left. Any arguments for squares yet to be circled? And I'll keep checking here. WD-40 or WD-40, SWD-40. DEI websites in a nutshell have racism. What do now? Contact us, pretty much. That's all DEI consultants are. Well, I mean, they're there to check a box, right? For the most part, they're there to check a box. They're there so a company can say, we have participated in workshops. We have brought in a DEI specialist. We have a DEI initiative and so on, so that they can say in their public literature and their prospectus and to any potential investors and so on that they have a robust DEI program in process or have regular, unconscious bias trainings and things like that. It's not so much that they have to do anything. You just have to show that you've done it. There are some true blue believers out there, but mostly DEI consultants are just there to take up space and get a paycheck. And boy, as I've said any numerous times in the past, and about 3 years ago would have been about the sweet spot. Just after the George Floyd death and all the hubbub after that, that would have been the best time. If you already had a DEI business set up, you'd be great. But if you had to get into it, that'd be the time to do it, because they were spending money hand over fist for anyone who could come forward as a DEI consultant and give some legitimacy to their virtue signaling. And if I had less integrity, I could have cashed that check a few years ago, but I didn't. And so here I am. Let's see. Lexi Mads, I believe her. People are bizarre, and it's not the first time someone has brought up having a black name is a problem in corporate America. It's true, but all the same, Ty versus Tyrone sounds a bit out there. I mean, it could be completely true, but it just sounds a bit too. And again, the key word in the square is probably. So that's not to say it didn't. And if there's, some other published example out there or proof to the contrary, so be it. But probably. Let's see. What else do we have here? Also, Lexi, if anyone starts a DEI consulting firm here, I will hire you. We can play bingo together. Oh, boy. And yes, Mr. Tickleton, exactly. DEI is added for the ESG bonuses to the higher-ups and fear of bad press. Yes. There are also corporate incentives for DEI progress, as in executive pay and bonuses can be tied to diversity goals and initiatives. I've got several examples of those, been thinking of trying to throw together a video of such examples, but keep getting waylaid by real-life stuff. And, okay, any other arguments for squares to be circled, everybody? I think we did pretty good today. We got 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 4 bingos. 4 bingos, not too shabby. Let's see. I'm scrolling up a bit in case I missed anything. Peter, afraid of being accused of the racisms? Hire us. That seems to be the message. Assassin the Gray, you know who just shows up out of nowhere and changes everything by force? Invaders. So what does that make her? Yeah, you're going to decolonize the workplace by bringing in your ideas to take over, in counter to the established presence. Yeah, it's a little off there. And Wakanda is reality. If only it were so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd be fine if Wakanda were real. Then we'd have vibranium and like magic medical technology and who knows what else. But either way, everybody, there you go. Lots of bingos and a WTF, but a talk that was absolute nothing. And a lady who works for a company whose website seems to be a very accurate reflection of what we witnessed in the TEDx talk. But all being said, a couple of programming notes. Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern will be the Sunday stream, where I'll talk about a thing on a Sunday show. I don't know what it'll be yet. I'll probably decide on Saturday. Also, at least as of right now, I should be on Midnight's Edge After Dark Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the shit list, the top 5 monster movies. We're going to be going over our top 5 monster movies. I still need to submit my list pretty quick here. So I got to figure out what are my favorite monster movies. Am I going to be all like, on the fringe, obscure, or am I going to go for something as common as Godzilla? I guess we'll find out on Sunday. Also, if you'd like to join the Discord server, there's a link in the chat. Just have to click on that. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to give the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you actually watched the show and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is coloniality. Say it with me, not colonoscopy, coloniality. Coloniality. So just say hello, coloniality. And I'll know that you watched the show, because where else and how else could you have heard that word? I'll certainly know you're not a bot. But with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this classic TEDx of bag of nothing but a whole lot of words. Sometimes that's just How the dice come up, snake eyes. Everyone who donated. Oh, sorry. I have my spiel right. Let me do it in the right order here. Moderators. Thank you so much for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated. There we go. Thank you so much for your generosity, whether it was to me or to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box. Really do appreciate it. Every little bit helps. And also, again, special good wishes and for Kiever Dam's uncle. So anybody that didn't hear earlier, Kiever Dam's uncle had to go in to the hospital because of a heart attack, I think it was, heart failure. So all the best to Kiever Dam's uncle, and wishing him a speedy recovery. With that, everybody, hope you all have a good rest of your Thursday evening. Hope you have a good and relaxed Friday. Hope you have a good weekend ahead of you. Hope you're all safe and well. And if you are not well, please do get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.